Davis, we pay for this time. We only have so much time a month. We have so many episodes to record before the next season starts, so we can have a nice comfort between. I don't want to edit episodes till 2 a.m. on a Monday anymore, please. When they go up that Tuesday.
Oh God,
it's not good when that happens. Something's gone very wrong. Hello, mortals, monsters, and myth lovers alike. You're listening to Podcast of Poseidon, where we explore how ancient myths become modern pop culture while reading Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This is Chapter 16, Ithaca. I'm your co-host, on loan from the Huntress of Artemis, Darien Smartt. Joining me is my co-host and brother, hailing from Cabin Zero, DJ.
How's everybody doing? If you don't know, Cabin Zero is Storkules. Yeah, my son is the duck, or my dad is the duck. Or the stork, actually. He's a stork.
I was going to say, I think he's a stork, but go on.
He's a stork, yeah. It's an interesting relationship I got with that guy. He's pretty cool for the most part, but he's a little airheaded.
Well, I'd love to hear more about that, but before we get too far into it, let's swing by the camp store to make sure we have everything we need for this episode. DJ, I've been pondering the nature of good timing recently. For example, when you unexpectedly find yourself in need of a new couch, but thankfully it's Memorial Day weekend and you can get a great one at a good deal.
That's awesome. And I like timing in comedy instances because, well, good comedic timing can just leave you on the floor laughing, crying. It's great. What I think is pretty good comedic timing, but probably not great timing, is when we have a guest on our show way back when. Probably I'd say we recorded this episode back in April.
Yeah, we did.
Yep, we recorded this episode back in April, and here it is in June. And then this guy comes up right before his episode comes out and upgrades to a God tier patron. So shout out to Tim O'Connor.
Shout out to Tim O'Connor, guest of this episode, longtime patron, has upgraded to the top tier, literal God tier patron level, also more commonly known as the producer level patron, which means Tim is now basically a producer of the show.
Yeah, and so we will be doing, for everybody that, decides to pay $15 a month, which if you do, wonderful. If you don't, we get it. And if you just want our bonus content, I understand that too. I think our bonus episodes are pretty fucking funny.
And you get those for just $5 a month.
And that's great. And so we will do something similar to this every time you guys come out and pay $15 a month. And we will do it for when you first do it. We'll have a fun little blurb like we're doing now. And for every month that you are continuously donating, we will say your name at the end of the episode as a producer.
Yeah, we will. So look forward to that at the end of this episode, y'all. Speaking of timing, it's also the beginning of a new month.
Yeah, it is.
DJ, you know what that means?
That means we got a new charity to donate to.
Yep. Every month here at Podcast of Poseidon, we will donate $1 for every supporter we have on Patreon to a children's charity. This month, we are supporting GLSEN, which is an organization that works to ensure that LGBTQ students are able to learn and grow in a school environment free from bullying and harassment.
Because not every kid can grow up or just go off to Camp Half-Blood and be accepted for exactly who you are and what you need.
We currently have 5 patrons over on Patreon, so we will be donating additional $20, bringing our donation up to $25.
Heck yeah.
Thank you so much to all of our patrons, including upgrading God tier patron Tim O'Connor for helping make these donations possible.
We appreciate you guys so much.
And now, on to the show. All right, DJ, so this week we are joined by our very first guest for Season 2.
Whoa, that's awesome. Who is he?
He is the comic book reviewer and director of the social media network Everything Nerdy and Anything in Between, Tim O'Connor. Tim, say hello.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Tell our listeners what cabin you're from.
Well, I'm from Cabin T, which is which is the cabin of the Titans.
Mm-hmm. And your parent is?
I am one of the sons of Selene.
Selene!
Nice.
Love
Selene.
Selene.
It's the Titan of the Moon.
Yes,
if you don't know.
I do understand that she did fade during the Roman times, which is a compliment to you because you look great for your age. What is your secrets?
Yeah, I fell into another dimension for a while where time sort of has no meaning. So I came out when Caesar was still in power, and now they don't even have Emperor anymore. What's up with that?
Which Caesar?
No, I get missed.
I don't know, man.
There was more than one?
Depending on the Caesar. Yeah, there was, actually.
Oh, you got some catching up to do. Have you seen WandaVision yet? That's a really dated joke to make in an episode that's going to come out in June.
Yeah. At this point, Falcon Winter Soldier's already done.
Loki started. Have you seen Loki yet?
You know what? I'm holding off on that because that guy was a dick.
You know what? You're not wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Well, today we are going to talk about Ithaca, home of Odysseus, because I figured since we're starting season 2, which is going to be Thanks to Sea of Monsters, heavily focused on the Odyssey, I want to start at the end, at the place that Odysseus was so desperate to get back to. So, Tim, you are our guest. Do you know anything about Ithaca from Greek mythology?
Yes, I do. Odysseus was the king of Ithaca, and when he left to fight off in the Trojan War, Odysseus' wife Penelope got a bunch of suitors to come over, uninvited, and they started courting her to try to marry her, and she did her best to stave off marriage as long as she could until her husband could eventually return home.
Yeah, basically that. Yeah, I think we don't give Penelope enough credit because her whole thing. Well, because here's the thing about these assholes is they didn't want to marry Penelope because they liked her or anything. It's just because they wanted to be king of Ithaca. So every one of the 108 suitors were just.
They also thought she was hot.
I mean, I'm sure that too.
It was a very superficial relationship that.
But really, they were already living like the king of Ithaca because they were just eating all her food and just taking advantage of her goodwill anyway.
Yeah,
just freeloaders. Yeah. And so I want to shout out Penelope real quick because the way she is able to just keep kicking this problem down the street is she's like, well, I've got to weave a burial shroud for my husband. The one who was lost at sea. Very recently, you assholes. So when I'm done with that, then I'll talk about getting married again. And so she's weaving this burial shroud during the day, and then every night she unweaves it, so it just takes forever. So in Sea of Monsters, while Annabeth and Percy are sailing in Odysseus's wake, Grover takes a page from Penelope. Yeah. And I think we need to shout him out for that because
Grover's so good. He the whole time to ward off Polyphemus from eating him or marrying him. In this case, he's weaving himself a wedding veil the whole time, and then he's saying different days to confuse Polyphemus. And every time Polyphemus isn't looking, he's unweaving the wedding veil, and then he's weaving it when he's around, and then he's unweaving it, and then weaving it when he's around. It's pretty great. I didn't actually know Penelope did that, so that's really cool.
Yeah, but Penelope was pretty cool.
Yeah, she's great, honestly. She's great, and she's so clever. And I love in the Greek myths when you see how clever a character is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because even until the end, when Odysseus has fought everybody off, she has one last test to prove that Odysseus really is who he says he is.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm Odysseus, and she's like, bitch, you've been gone for 20 years. I'm not gonna just buy it.
Yeah.
I will. What was it? She's like, I'll get rid of our bed.
She moved his bed, and he's like, why the hell did you move my bed?
You can't move my bed. It's a fucking treat.
Yeah, I carved it myself. And she's like, oh, babe, welcome back. It's you.
You can't move our bed. It's made from it's made from an olive tree. The roots are still in the ground unless you cut my bed down. In which case, how dare you?
Yeah, we definitely stand Penelope in this podcast.
Yes.
But this episode is not about Penelope. Unfortunately, it is about Ithaca. So yeah, Tim, as you say, Odysseus has been gone for a decade fighting in the Trojan War. And then he gets to go home and just makes a very foolish decision to insult Poseidon at the beginning of his sea quest. And then gets to spend another 10 years trying to get back home. So we stand Penelope in this house.
Which 7 of those years was with Calypso.
He only spends 3 years trying to get home. He spends 7 years hanging out with Circe, which could not have been terrible.
I thought it was Calypso.
It's Calypso.
Calypso, my mistake.
Yeah, they both begin with C. You're not wrong though.
Get confused with your Greek sorceresses. We don't blame you.
We don't blame you. There's
a lot going on.
I know. So yeah, we give him a lot of 10 years. It's like. You're 7 of those were with Calypso, so how hard were you really trying to get home?
Yeah.
But we'll get to that when we talk about Calypso.
Time is hard and Ogygia.
I mean, in his defense, he sucks. So
Yeah.
all right, but so Ithaca, home of Odysseus, and in the Odyssey, and I'm going to reference the translation by Emily Wilson. Odysseus describes his home as such: Ithaca, where the shaking forest hides Mount Netrion. Close by other islands, Dulichium and wooded Zacynthus and Same. All others face the dawn. My Ithaca is set apart, most distant, facing the dark. It is a rugged land, but good at raising children. To my eyes, no country could be sweeter. So it's important to discuss the fact that Ithaca is like a real island in Greece. Like it's a place. Yes. You can go there.
Yeah.
And the question is the modern Ithaca Odysseus's Ithaca?
I don't see why I wouldn't, because it is a Greek island, isn't it?
I mean, it is, but the descriptions you get from the Odyssey don't quite line up with how modern Ithaca is described. And this one, how it talks about how all others face the dawn, and my Ithaca set apart, most distance facing the dark. That means Ithaca is farthest west, it's farthest towards the sunset, and the modern Ithaca isn't the farthest of those islands to the west. There's like one past it. Other translations will also describe it as being very low-laying, but Ithaca is a mountainous island. So this means two things. Either one, not Odysseus's Ithaca, despite the fact that it has been labeled as the Ithaca of legend since literal antiquity. Like, there are coins that were in circulation in Ithaca in the 3rd century BC that had Odysseus's face printed on it. Like, the Romans were like, yeah, this was Odysseus's Ithaca. So point one, all of them were wrong. Or two, Homer had never been to Ithaca and was just describing shit.
That's a high possibility.
I would say that's probably accurate because, like, even by the 3rd century BC, those stories would have happened thousands of years ago.
Yeah, even at that point, they were ancient. Like, this was like pre-Hellenistic Greece is when those stories were like being first told. Because
like it's the same thing when we say Cleopatra lived closer to the present than she did to the pyramids.
It's a fun thing because I just did. I'm currently actually taking a world history course. And it is just, because I know this logically, but like I forget until I'm actually studying and being like, oh yeah, like these Homer stories, this was actually really early in ancient Greece. I always in my head think of them as being like, oh yeah, these were like the prime of, they weren't like Hellenistic Greece. They weren't like what we think of as like those images of Athens and Sparta. Like those stories had already been like told and were the foundation of Greece before what we think of as Greece had actually not properly, but like fully come to be.
Right.
Yeah. It is a weird distinction to say that Ithaca was so far off to the west when you could see Kephallonia from Ithaca.
It's like, oh, right there. There's right there. So it's like, maybe Homer had never been to Ithaca.
No, but yeah, that's the most likely possibility here.
So, regardless, for all intents and purposes, much like Sleepy Hollow today in New York, modern Ithaca is just Odysseus's Ithaca. Like, basically, that is it.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim, you're from the East. Have you ever been to Sleepy Hollow?
I have actually passed through it a couple times. Obviously, not the same thing Washington Irving described, but it definitely still has that feel, like that very small town, very, very quiet. You could definitely see this place being haunted.
God, I want to go to Sleepy Hollow. Do you think if you would go, I obviously have not been to modern Ithaca, but do you think if you went to modern Ithaca, you'd be like, yeah, this is like some place some asshole would spend 10 years sailing to try to get. It's definitely worth the effort.
Based on what I've seen, yeah, I would sail for 10 years to try to get back.
So yeah, the what I like about when I was reading about like the discourse on like, was this really Homer's or the Odysseus's Ithaca, is that like it doesn't matter because even in ancient times it was basically like, yeah. The tourism board was very much using it to be like, oh, yes, come to Ithaca, home of Odysseus. It's a great vacation destination.
Yeah, most likely.
Which I think transitions nicely into why Tim is joining us today.
Yes, it does.
The dazzling island vacation destination of Ithaquack.
Woo! Ithaquack, home of Storkules.
Home of Storkules and other
among
great
others.
gods. And also Zeus.
We don't care about those. It's Storkules.
My mom's there. Have some respect.
Yeah,
Selene is
Selene.
hold on.
That's what I said. I said maybe Selene. Okay.
So this is my much-awaited DuckTales episode. So, Tim, if you please, what is Ithaquack?
Ithaquack is the modern home of Zeus, Storkules, and Selene. It used to be a prime vacation destination for all the gods and various heroes. Until one day, Scrooge McDuck showed up and he competed some contests, as you do.
As you do.
And he showed Zeus up so bad he got really angry and summoned a year-long lightning storm that scared everybody off.
Yeah, no, you stop vacationing in a place where there's you don't go to the tropical island if it's always raining.
Always raining.
And obviously the problem was that Scrooge won, not that Zeus tried to kill everyone.
Obviously.
Yeah.
No, clearly. This is Scrooge's fault. Zeus is not accountable for his behavior.
Yeah.
So this is the episode that I was first introduced, that I've seen it, is the 2017 DuckTales reboot. Did Ithaquack exist in older DuckTales lore?
No, the gods as we see them in DuckTales, I don't remember them being a thing in the original series, but they were not presented this way in like the original comics with from Carl Barks and Don Rosa. Like you'd have an adventure like, oh, we're gonna go find the funeral mask of Osiris, and there might be a curse or something, but you would not physically see Osiris. Interesting.
Okay. So the fact that they live on Ithaquack and not Mount Olympus is just for the pun?
Almost certainly, yes.
Okay. In your opinion, as someone who knows about Greek mythology and also about DuckTales, how successfully do you think that the DuckTales show weaves in that mythology into this? Let's do specifically the Ithaquack episode. Or what's it called?
Spear of Selene.
Thank you, DJ.
Well, when you take the idea that Ithaca was, the ultimate goal for Odysseus to get back home to, Ithaquack ties into that a lot, because the plot of the episode, the whole reason they're there is, in the original episode, we learned that the mother of Huey, Dewey, and Louie was lost, and, as they keep uncovering the mystery, they learn that she took something called the Spear of Selene, and we don't know what that is. So the best place to go for leads is the home of Selene, which is Ithaquack. And
obviously, yes. At
the point in the show that we come to this, these were, huge revelations. So I think using Ithaquack as like this big goalpost works pretty well.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because there's so much of the show. I guess we should go to DuckTales context a little bit, because that's super relevant. So Della Duck is the best, and that's all you need to know. Let's move on.
Yes.
Yeah, Della Duck is Huey, Dewey, and Louie's mother, who, to my understanding, has not actually appeared in any other DuckTales media except for, I think, 2 panels. I deep dived into her wiki a little while ago just for funsies.
Della's first appearance was sending a note to Donald in a comic in 1938.
Mm-hmm.
She first physically appeared in animation in 2018.
That's amazing!
Yeah.
But also horrifying that it took
80 years.
80 years. Exactly. 80 years for anybody to be like, should we put this character in the medium? Maybe?
Nah, don't worry about it. Nobody cares.
No. She's only Donald's sister. And the triplets' mom. Do we want to? No. Why would we need her here?
The only other time I can think of Donald appearing in a comic panel is, it's a little more than a crowd shot. It's in The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, when Scrooge has just come back from decades of touring the world, when he blew his sisters off, which was a dick move. So he comes back home to Duckburg, and he sees, he's got a whole big family now. He has his sisters who have kids of their own, and they say they're Donald and Della, but Della doesn't really do anything. But Donald basically just says, "You're a dick," and kicks his uncle in the ass.
Good old Donald. God, Donald doesn't get enough credit, I think, in this general culture or the general atmosphere of pop culture. DJ, what are you looking at?
Sorry, I've been comparing the maps to Greece and Assassin's Creed Odyssey for a bit, but I have been listening. I swear to God.
What?
I started when I looked at where Ithaca was. I'm like, man, I don't remember Ithaca being in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So I pulled up a map. I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. What other similarities are there? They're really true.
It's Assassin's Creed. Yeah.
It's I don't know. I didn't expect it to be this much. They got a lot of landmarks down. There's like one discrepancy I've seen, and that's about it. I'm like, holy shit. And that's just the length of an island. Sorry. This is not what this episode's about.
No, but that's fascinating. It's Assassin's Creed. They do good stuff like that.
Yeah, if you can count on them for one thing, it's location accuracy.
Mm-hmm,
True.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play Valhalla so bad. I just don't have the money to buy it.
Yeah. Not what this episode's about.
Not what this episode's about. Sorry about that.
Could be the motto of the podcast at this point, I think.
Right next to "Don't Be Like Zeus." Not what this podcast. Well, not what this episode's about.
So, what I think I personally really like about the Spare Saloon episode, besides the lore that it brings to the DuckTales show, there's just so much good, subtle Greek mythology nonsense just in the episode. Just
yeah, there is. Like one of the contests is Zeus has has Storkules do it because he can't be bothered to actually compete himself.
No. Yes.
Yeah.
He makes Storkules do all this stuff.
Yeah. So he has them, and Scrooge sends the nephews just because, not because he doesn't want, not because he wants to what's the word I'm looking for? Just not because he wants to humiliate his nephews, just because he can't be bothered with something this petty, and they're sent to grab Aeolus' bag of winds, and that was a pretty cool challenge.
I thought it was he wanted to humiliate Zeus.
It is also to prove like it's my family versus your family, and my family is going to win even by accident.
Yeah. If this is what we're doing, and then Storkules is just stoked. They're like, "Whoa, let's go! You won!"
I know he's so. Oh God, Storkules is just so proud of.
He's so pure.
The triplets and Donald. For every time they beat him, he's just like, "You did it!" And it's like because you were too good, you threw a discus around the world. Like, why are you best boy? But the wins is great because that's something that appears in the Odyssey.
Yes.
Like, that's something that Odysseus actually gets during his travels.
Yeah, that he doesn't tell his men about what's in it, and so his men don't trust him and think it's treasure, and then open the bag and adds like 6 more years onto their fucking...
Yeah, if only you could have prevented that somehow.
Like, Ithaca was in sight.
It's like, maybe you should communicate with your dudes,
like,
my dude.
This is a bag of winds. Please don't open it.
Yep. Which, then we get that in the Sea of Monsters, where Hermes rolls up with a thermos of the winds and just straight up tells Percy, here's what it is. Don't open it too much or there will be trouble.
An emergency. Like,
emergency.
Just straight up.
And then because there is communication, it works out well. It does explode, but that's not Percy's fault. The ship was exploding. Okay, like there was a whole thing. But yeah, so that was something that I didn't realize until recently. I'm like, oh shit, that's in the Odyssey. Also in the Odyssey. And
there's also one of the challenges is a siren.
There is, yes. You have to steal the golden fleece from this little child.
Yeah.
Who turns out to be a siren.
A mind-controlling siren.
A mind-controlling siren, which I love because not really what sirens do, but I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about creepy singing child being the siren. Like, no, I'm here for that. And the golden fleece is just here.
It's definitely a change you have to make to accommodate for your audience, for your intended audience, which is children. But I think it works really well.
Yes, it does. Because DJ and I just had DJ watch this episode, and you were talking about how actually nightmarishly horrifying the siren thing is, because Zeus uses it to control Storkules and make him attack the triplets and stuff, and like the McDuck family, and
it's pretty fucked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's conscious the whole time.
Yeah, he's conscious. Yeah. He's like, oh, please forgive me.
The whole time. He's like, Father, stop! I love these people.
It's like, no, because Zeus is the worst.
And then they say that they can make money with the siren's voice.
No, because Louis is a genius.
Yeah.
It's like, his name is Llewellyn. And it's my favorite.
Hubert, Dubert, and Llewellyn.
Mm-hmm. What's with the hey Tim? What's with the names? Why the names? Do you know?
You know what? I think that was purely an invention of the show because I can't recall any instance where you've ever heard their full names before.
I love that show so much.
That's pretty fun.
But guessing from Llewellyn, it was Donald was going for Welsh or Celtic names.
Yes, I was like, yeah, that's super Welsh. Look at all those L's next to each other with a W.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm going to invite the W2 of the party. This is Welsh.
And a far cry from what their names were going to be.
Yes. What would, I don't remember, but like Della had this is what the triplets' names will be. And Donald said, no,
Jet,
you stole
Turbo,
a
and Rebel.
Yep.
I stole a rocket and left.
So I'm going to do what I want, actually.
Yeah.
It's probably for the best. So I have said this before, and I'm sure I'll say it many times. Storkuli is best boy. And Tim, I know you know a lot about the lore about how Storkules came to be. I haven't told DJ yet because I wanted.
Oh yes, this is gonna be
so
good.
What's up with that? Okay, so tell us more about like how did we even get Storkules?
Yeah. Okay. So DJ, let me ask you something. If you were to guess who Storkules was meant to be a stand-in for, but besides obviously Hercules, who would you say?
In like the Disney canon.
Yeah.
In the Disney canon?
Mm-hmm.
Only one coming to mind is Poseidon.
Mickey Mouse.
He's a stand-in for Mickey Mouse?
Yes, he is.
Why?
Well, I can tell you exactly why. Frank Angones, and apologies if I mispronounced that, one of the co-executive producers of the show, he loved to go on Tumblr and just answer asks from fans, usually to troll them, but he occasionally would offer, some actual insight into the show. So a fan asked Frank Angones on Tumblr, hey, what did you ever have any plans for what you do with Mickey Mouse in the show? And he did. The original intention for Mickey was he was going to be Donald's old roommate who was super successful and super supportive. Loved hanging out with Donald. He's the best, and naturally Donald couldn't stand him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And Disney said no, you can't use Mickey Mouse because Disney is weirdly stingy about what they will and won't let people do with Mickey Mouse.
They've been that way for so
you got
long.
DuckTales here saying, I want to use Mickey Mouse as hanging out with his friend that he's had for the better part of a century. No, it's no good. Nomura-san, what do you want to do? I'm gonna have Mickey go on a rampage of revenge after it looks like Goofy's killed. Perfect. Print it.
Perfect. Go for it. Love it. Why?
Yeah. So
okay.
Because they couldn't use Mickey Mouse, they
They put Mickey Mouse in Kingdom Hearts.
That's what he just said.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I didn't hear it quite. I heard a bit. I'm like, yeah, weird.
So because they couldn't use Mickey Mouse, they still really wanted to use the character traits that they had created for what he'd do. So what they did was they got the guy who voices Mickey in the current Paul Rudd shorts, Chris Diamantopoulos. And again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing these. And so they had him do Storkules and act as basically the same character, except he's Hercules also.
Nice.
I think is that the reason we got the Greek stuff to begin with, or were they already doing the Spear of Selene stuff? And we're like, well, we're already gonna do Greek, so might as well just make him Hercules, but he's a stork. It's Storkules, Ithaquack puns.
I would think so because they put a lot of effort into the pun names of things. Like there's one episode where they go to Tokyo and it's called Tokyoke. Like an egg.
I love that episode. Ugh.
But we also take into consideration a lot of the stuff, what species things are going to be. Like apparently at one point they were going to have Zeus be a swan, but the writer said, no, that's way too gross for a kid's show.
How's that gross for a kid's show?
Why is having Zeus be a swan gross?
I get that, but I get that, in lore, it's gross. But for a kid's show, do you think these kids are going to be like, oh, Zeus is a swan? I'm going to Google that. No! We're going to Google that. It's just oh, yeah, he's a swan. His son's a stork.
It's a risk you can't take when the mouse is watching, but not actually in your show.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I've seen even riskier shit.
In Disney shows?
In Disney shows, come on.
What
the entirety
decade?
of Gravity Falls. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but you're not using Disney characters in Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
They might be paying a little bit more attention to what you're doing in DuckTales. So is Selene a stork? Or not a stork, a swan?
So in preparation for this episode, I went back through 4 years of Frank Angones' Tumblr backlog to look for every shred of information I could find on the god characters.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to give... Tim, will you please take the floor and just tell us all your research? Mm-hmm.
Selene is an ibis. So I think that
okay.
fits pretty well. But you asked me a question off screen, like, do you know why they use Selene instead of Artemis?
Yes, why do they use Selene instead of Artemis? I love her,
weird.
but I feel like she could have just been Artemis also.
After extensive research, I have no fucking idea.
Okay. Is it just the alliteration?
That is probably a big factor, but if I were to make an educated guess, it's Artemis is probably a little bit more defined as a character than Selene is, because Selene doesn't really have a lot of stories attributed to her, so you can kind of have her do whatever you want, not necessarily have ding. Plus, there's kind of I would think there's a bit of an expectation that if you have Artemis, you also have to bring in Apollo at some point.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, but that could have been fun.
Yeah, but that's not really what the show is about. Well, it could have been, but that's not.
Yeah.
Because you only
It's not what the show is about, but like they brought on Zeus and Storkules.
Yeah, but there's
I think there could have been fun sibling banter with Apollo and Artemis, like it's fucking always.
Yeah, we got the sibling banter with Della and Donald.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it was.
Give us another group of siblings that just like are more divine.
Apparently, it's easy to miss in the show, but Word of God says Storkules and Selene are brother and sister, not like half brother sister or anything. They're full brother and sister in this show.
Yes, there is, because in the one episode where the invasion is happening and they go to Ithaquack to get help, you get the message from Selene where she's like, "Yeah, our dad won't let us come out." And so it's like, oh, okay.
He's being a dick and would rather let the world be destroyed than help Scrooge for a second.
Just literally 1 second. But yeah, and it does make sense for it to be Selene with the whole connection of like what the spear of Selene was. A rocket. I guess spoilers for DuckTales, but y'all know what we're doing by now. It's season 2, y'all gotta keep up. It's a rocket ship that they built that Della took on a test drive, and things broke bad real quick.
Yeah.
I love that they named it, because like, it's a rocket ship. We're going to space. We're going to go to the moon. Huh. What should we name our spaceship after? We're friends with some deities. Which of the deities should we name the spaceship that's going to go to the moon after? I wonder.
Should be named after Storkules. Follow in the same vein that like NASA did by calling
you would be the guy that named it Apollo missions instead of the Diana missions.
And how do we know it was the Roman Apollo?
Because all of NASA's shit is Roman. Like, all the planets are Roman. They use the Roman stuff.
Curiosity doesn't sound Roman. The planets were named after fucking Galileo, okay?
Galileo? That's Galileo 1 and Galileo 2 and Galileo Jr.
No, I'm talking about, I guess not after. They were named by Galileo.
He didn't name all of the planets.
He named a majority, and so they just followed its suit.
And yet we picked the sun god for the moon missions.
Yeah. Because it's the biggest thing in the sky.
You're going to the moon!
Rockets are going in the sky. What are you talking about? Most of those missions weren't even to the moon. They were just launching into space.
That is true.
And they were launching during the daytime. Towards the sun. It's an Apollo mission.
But when you decide
it's space, how can you not be launching towards the sun?
Exactly.
All the time. Okay, so we only see like 4 gods. And technically one of them is actually a Titaness.
Yeah.
What's the 4th one?
The 4th one is Hades.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We do see Hades. She did tell me about Hades.
Yes, but I didn't tell you about Hades.
He is great in this. So we only see him physically for one scene.
Tim, are you able to share your screen?
I could just Google him.
Oh. No. I don't want you to Google him. I want Tim to share his screen. So we only see Hades once. It's in a group chat. The gods have a group chat.
He looks so punk.
Yes, look at that.
Yeah, he is rocking the Alice Cooper look.
Holy shit.
So the one time we see Hades, he's sitting on the underworld on a throne of skulls, and he is just in a group chat with the gods, texting about Zeus, because recently he started Selene and Storkules took away Zeus's powers because no one liked him and he was a dick.
He was a dick.
So yeah, don't be like Zeus. So Hades is just sitting in the underworld group chatting with the other gods, saying, "Hey, did you hear about Zeus? What an asshole! He lost his powers."
LOL. That's so funny. Just
yeah.
It's great. Tim messaged me about it ages ago, or did I send that to you? I don't remember the exact exchange. But you're like, I really like the rocker look he's going. I'm like, I don't know. Last time I saw a rocker Hades, I had issues, and I sent you the picture of Hades from the Percy Jackson movie.
Yeah,
I was about to say.
Which even as someone who hasn't read the books, that's hard.
You're like, oh shit, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then like the problem is in the books, he's just wearing a cloak made of souls.
He's very stylish, like very like professional. He's got a job to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But seeing Hades like this makes me think that Zeus wearing a toga is an intentional choice just to like be dramatic and not be part of the world. Stortules does it because he genuinely likes them, and Celine just does it because he doesn't care enough to update her wardrobe. But this makes me think like the gods just wear clothes, and
yes, they would just wear clothes at this point. Like that makes
not pants though, because nobody wears pants.
Nobody wears pants. No, not pants, obviously, but just Launchpad wears pants.
Yeah,
Launchpad's too big not to wear pants.
So yeah, we only see 4 of the Greek gods, but these are not the only gods we see in the show.
They're not. No, we do actually get a bit of a roundup of the gods. And Tim, since we got you, do you want to talk about the other time we see some gods?
Oh, I would love to.
Mm-hmm.
So the other time we see, at one point Zeus makes, I'm sorry, not Zeus, Scrooge, he makes an offhand remark about how one of his many, many jobs is keeping the world safe from the world serpent Jormungandr.
Mm-hmm. Preventing Ragnarok.
Yeah, and at one point we see just how he does it. And it is quite possibly the best thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
Ragnarok is saved off by a wrestling match.
Yep, the wrestling match.
Yeah.
And what part does Zeus... not Zeus. I did too. What part does Scrooge play in this professional wrestling match?
So he plays a pastiche of the $1 Million Man called the $1 Million Miser, and he is the heel, and he loves every second of it.
It's so good. It
is the best. So
nice.
So Jormungandr comes down. He turns it into a big snake man. Which
it's DuckTales.
Yeah. And so first round you got a guy who's just like a random warrior named Strongbeard. What you're fine. The next round you get Hela.
You literally damn it, Scrooge literally has to wrestle Hela.
But except they call her Heka.
Heka.
Obviously, yes,
Yeah.
It is still a Disney show.
Yes, so the next round is a tag team match between Heka and Fenrir.
And Fenrir is adorable, and poor Webby just can't fight Fenrir.
What I love about it is like Heka never says anything, and her entire getup is just like she's the Undertaker, and it is so awesome.
That sounds funny.
It's so good. Seeing like I've listened to like watch a lot of things that like pro wrestling has come up as like a story arc that they're doing, and like this podcast I'm listening to or like whatever, and I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of mad at our mom for not letting us watch wrestling as kids, because this is clearly like actually a fun theatrical experience.
You know what? I should talk to my dad about that, because he watches wrestling regularly, but never let me watch it with him.
I have a vivid memory, right? The one time Mom let me, Jared, and John all watch wrestling. She was watching it downstairs just to make sure that like it was okay and safe to watch. One of the guys got hit with a tranquilizer dart and then shaved. And then she comes running upstairs, turning it off, and saying, "You're not allowed to watch this ever again." I'm like, "Why? It's fine."
He's like, it's not real. Yeah, it's a scripted program, but also it's like athletic. Like they're still actually doing these things, even if it's all
like,
stage
this is
combat.
Still, like those muscles are real. Like they're still like working out and fucking doing this shit.
As someone in a high school play, I once had to hit my scene partner with an ironing board twice. It's really impressive to make that look real without hurting your scene partner by actually hitting with an ironing board.
Yeah,
like,
they do a lot of training. Like they're like it is a respectable job.
Well, you can say it's fake all you want, but they don't put in any less effort than if it was 100% unscripted.
All right, let me see you jump from the top ropes of a fucking boxing ring and not like onto another hard-bodied person and not get hurt.
Yeah.
No,
let me see you flip your fucking friend over your head and not hurt them.
Oh, hey, this is a great time for me to mention what I think would be a great arc for like a women's wrestling character where you are your character is like core and you're springtime and you lose all the time, you're not that badass, and then you have a heel turn and you're Persephone the Destroyer.
Oh, that is amazing.
Like you roll up in the core outfit and we're like, oh yeah, and then that's when you do the heel turn and the whole outfit changes and it's just like the vines and the thorns and the darkness and the skulls and it's like
Oh, that would be so awesome.
I'd be like, yeah.
And then now she's like, what? Core's here? What is a little girl doing in the ring? Oh God, it's Persephone!
Oh, gods have mercy on us all.
I don't see him coming out of this one alive, folks.
John Cena's got to run for his money.
Yeah, so Heka and Fenrir win just because he's a good boy and he can't beat a good boy.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Can't beat.
And then Jormungandr's the last round, and he's just like this mashup of like Hulk Hogan, John Cena, The Rock, all the big beefy guys, and he comes into Battle Royale just like, I'm so awesome, I can take all you at the same time, and I'll still win. And he knocks everybody out except Dewey, who he's a 10-year-old kid. What's he gonna do to a giant snake man?
They're 10. Okay, I have never been sure how old the triplets are. I'm like, are they like, they're not teenage? Are they 12? They're 10. Jesus Christ.
They're 90 years old.
Shut up.
but yeah, so you're beating on a 10-year-old kid who can't fight back, and that tends to get the crowd kind of against you.
Mm-hmm. It's so cute because also like in that episode, like they're supposed to be the heels, right? Because the souls of Valhalla, like the Vikings, they want Ragnarok to happen because that's when they can come and fight, and it's the Norse culture, it's Ragnarok. They want that to happen. That's what they're training for. Like
the Einherjar.
We see that
they don't act like Einherjar don't actually want it to happen.
But that's
they don't want the world to be it. Like, yeah, it's an inevitability. They're training for it. They know it's going to happen. They don't want it to.
Okay, yeah,
they're prepping.
Chase.
They're prepping for the worst, hoping for the best.
Yes, exactly. So that's what we see in Magnus Chase. So it makes so much sense for Scrooge, the person who has to stop Ragnarok, for in this context to be the heel, to be the villain. And when Dewey has to step in because Scrooge throws his back out, because he is in fact an old man. Like, yes, he can kickflip, but he's an old man.
It's easy to forget, but he's like well over 150.
Yeah.
Yes. It's really hard because Dewey wants to he wants everyone to like him and be the hero, and when he finally embraces it is when the audience is like seeing his spirit. And he's also 10. It's cute. I fucking love DuckTales. God damn. Yeah. So here's what's amazing. We're talking about Ithaquack, and now we're talking about Norse mythology, and that just seems like a seamless transition because of how this show was able to do that. What's up with that?
Well, since literally the first episode, the show has been reaching beyond what I think people were expecting of it.
Mm-hmm.
In the first episode, you get name drops to like St. Canard, Spoonerville, Cape Suzette, which were all other shows on Disney Afternoon. Darkwing Duck, Goof Troop, Tailspin, and you'd see in interviews with the cast and crew, and they'd be all cagey about it, like, oh yeah, Darkwing Duck, we don't know who that is.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, but so they'd be setting things up, and they were actually really good at keeping the secrets. Like, the first time we actually get what I would consider the proper crossover is we see a bit of Darkwing Duck playing, which in this show, Darkwing Duck was in itself a show, like an old TV show, like the Adam West Batman series.
Exactly, it's the Adam West Batman.
And I had not seen any promos of that episode up to that point, so I just opened the episode, and it opens on that shot of St. Canard, and my jaw hit the floor.
I was like, oh, what?
Oh my god, they're really doing this. They're swinging for the fences, and they knocked it out of the park.
They did, and I think what was so awesome is, like, yeah, they did the episode where they introduced that Darkwing Duck is a show in this world, and didn't do the thing you thought they were going to do, which was, oh, now we'll meet him, right? Now he's going to be a real character. No, it's just Launchpad really loves this show, and this means a lot to him, and as he struggles with his challenge for that episode, he falls back on, like, I won't give up, just like my hero, and it is just a show. Like, it's that's it, and then they don't bring it up again.
For over an entire season.
Yeah, you'll get like
they just let it sit for a while. Like they'll make references to it, like Launchpad has a bunch of Darkwing Duck VHSs that he likes to play on the plane all the time, which is pretty funny.
Him and oh my god, what is her name? The agent.
Oh, Mrs. Beakley.
Mrs. Beakley. Him and Mrs. Beakley do end up bonding over Darkwing Duck and the fact that this series got canceled and never got a last episode. So then Mrs. Beakley dresses up like Darkwing Duck. We're going to film the last episode. And it's like, it's cute. And so when they actually get to the point where they inevitably introduce, like, they're doing a remake of Darkwing Duck, and the actor who's playing Darkwing Duck actually loves it and ends up becoming Darkwing Duck. It makes a lot of sense. It sounds less crazy.
Yeah, but like, when you break it down, it's like saying, so Adam West had a Batman TV series, and then Tim Burton tried to make the movie with Michael Keaton. Things got messy during production, and the end result is that Michael Keaton is now actually Batman.
And Adam West is the Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is what happened, and it's just delightful though how these, and forgive me if this, because that's not the only time they do it. Like, yeah, we get Darkwing Duck, and then they roll up and I'm like, you guys, you heard about Tailspin? You want to do some Tailspin? Or like, hey, do you guys remember the Rescue Rangers? Do you want this weird episode where it's just they're there? And for some reason that works, even though it's not about them at all, but they are actually the reason that the heroes win this episode. You want to do that? Let's do that.
They never speak, and nobody ever acknowledges them. You just see them in the background, like, having an adventure on their own.
Nice.
And, like, they save them from, like, oh, they're in prison, what do we do? And then the Rescue Rangers save them. But it works, because they introduced them earlier in the episode. Oh my god, Gadget was so cute. I forgot how much I loved Gadget.
Nice.
But yeah, it's all of these stories that are so different, and they don't... I watched... like Disney afternoon, I watched DuckTales, I watched Darkwing Duck, I watched Tailspins, and like those in my brain, even as a kid, they were all animals, right? But I never saw them as like being together. They were just too disparate, too distant. And yet DuckTales manages to do this, the reboot DuckTales manages to do that thing where it is so seamlessly like, obviously Launchpad is going to be best friends with Darkwing Duck. Obviously.
Yeah, best friends.
Best friends.
He and Launchpad were absolutely in love, and I don't care what the official canon is.
No, it's like, I don't care what you say, they're in love. Fuck off.
They adopted a daughter together.
They have a child together. Yes, no, yes, obviously once upon a time, Scrooge and Secret Agent Beakley went and got the secret formula that the gummy bears use for their bouncing power. Obviously, these are all interconnected, and here's where my stretch is. Like reading the Odyssey, where what do you mean this guy's going to deal with the sirens, and also Circe, and also Calypso, and also this island of cannibals, and also the Lotus Eaters, and also Scylla. Then also Scylla and Charybdis, and also Polyphemus, and just all of these things that are like, these are so far apart and so stretched and nonsense, but when you have a really good story with like a solid character that you're just like, and a plot, the overarching plot, that is like, yeah, he's having these many adventures and they're happening, but you're so invested on like, right, but like, he's got to get back to Ithaca. What happened to Della? Like, okay, well, now we have to deal with a Fowl. Like, how are we going to beat them? What are they going to do? Oh shit, like, how's Penelope going to get out of this? Like, you have this overarching story that makes all these pieces work so well together. Basically, I'm saying DuckTales 2017 is the Odyssey of our age.
Yeah.
I will stand by that.
It makes for a very comic booky feel, which was obviously the intention, because so much of the art style is based on the original comics, like even more so than the original series was. Yes,
and it's dazzling. And I think another thing about that I will continue to make this, I acknowledge seemingly bizarre comparison between DuckTales and the Odyssey, and this is why I wanted to this episode, is because there is so much love in the DuckTales reboot. Like, you feel it. It was made by people who loved the show growing up, who loved all of these shows growing up, but also loved the comics, also love what they mean, love how long they've lasted. It took 80 years for Della to show up, and the comics were older than that. Like, Tim, how old are the DuckTales comics?
Actually, that's about as old as you get.
Okay, so 80 years. So it's 80 still. This thing that has lasted for 80 years, which in, like, American storytelling is remarkable and continues to be as relevant as it has been. Like, yeah, we have things that have, like, Mickey Mouse, like Batman, even. Like, we have things that last, but, like, not everything does. I think a story really has to be loved in order to last, which is another reason why I kind of want to compare it to the Odyssey, because when I was just picking, like, which version of the Odyssey I wanted to reference for the podcast, you have a lot of versions, and not just, like, I mean retellings, as in translations. As in, people over the years have gone in and translated this story again and again because, wow, they love it. It's hard to do that kind of thing. And it's still around because yeah, it's important. Yeah, it's one of the first, like, it's an epic poem. It's, like, influenced Western storytelling. Yes, it is important, but, like, when you actually, like, get down to, like, reading it and studying it, it's a story that's, yeah, Odyssey sucks, but it's a story worth loving. And taking the time to tell it again, and taking the time to retell it again, and folding it in certain ways, and putting your 13-year-old protagonist and his not yet but soon-to-be girlfriend and genius into the story again, and have to rescue their satyr friend and do these things, because that's, DJ, you talked about how, like, that was your first introduction to the Odyssey, and you loved it then.
Oh yeah, and like for the longest time, it was my favorite book. And then, like, going back and listening to them again, like, I still love that book. I think it's still such a solid book in the Percy Jackson series. A lot of character development goes through that book, and a lot, like, I mean, yeah, a lot of character goes through, like, a lot of books. But that one specifically, it just felt like there was a lot of growth for every character, even though it was only, like, what, 200, 300 pages?
It's like the shortest one, yeah.
Yeah, it's the shortest one in the first series. And honestly, out of all of his books, it's the shortest one. It's like, it's got an 8-hour runtime on Audible. And, like, that's incredibly short. Like the next one up is like 10 hours.
Yeah, there is so much, like, growth, and so much happens, and you feel it, which is like, I think it's like, oh, DuckTales. It's like, this is an animated show about ducks, but, like, damn, do you feel the characters? Do you feel like this story is well told and is worth telling? And I wish I could make everybody sit down and watch it, because I promise it's so worth your time.
I believe it.
It was for me, someone who, let's just say their knowledge of you know these characters is above average.
Yeah,
above average.
Yeah, just when you can tell how much a creator cares about their product, and from the very first scene of the show is a seagull flying around, getting chased off by anthropomorphic seagulls. These guys know what they're doing. They want to have fun with it, and they want you to have fun with it.
They do, yeah. In the opening shot of the Spear of Selene episode, when you're, like, getting to Ithaquack. Oh, it's not the opening shot. It's like the opening shot is on the plane, and they're about to crash onto the island. The opening shot of, like, on the island is a manticore. It's a minotaur, because it's just the scorpion with a little lion head.
Yeah.
And, like, I didn't even realize. I was like, oh, weird thing. And I'm watching with DJ. He's like, it's a manticore. Oh, shit, it's a manticore. It's a DuckTales manticore. Of course it'd be just a small little thing.
There's the reason, like, I know what a manticore is because there's a song by one of my favorite artists, NSP, called The Manticore.
Oh, yeah.
They talk about it. It's pretty great. I would recommend it, but it's also pretty explicit.
We say a lot of curses on this podcast.
That's fair. It's like, okay, the name of the band is Ninja Sex Party.
Okay, so we say a lot of curses on this podcast, but I know for a fact a 9-year-old does listen to this show, so, like...
Shit. Fuck!
Yeah. The name of the band is Ninja Sex Party. I do recommend you go check them out. Like, they're like the lead singer's voice, he's just got a really solid voice, and I love it so much. And all their songs are just bangers after bangers. I don't know if there's a song that I truly don't like. Anyway.
Not what this episode is about.
Not what this episode is about.
But, Tim, I mean, that's all I really have for Ithaca, or Ithaca, Ithaquack, and DuckTales. Did you
and everything in between.
And everything in between. Did you have anything else you wanted to discuss? Anything you wanted to, like, share with the audience about Greeks, about what you've researched just for this episode, about DuckTales, about just thoughts?
Oh, I could go on for days, but for topics pertaining at hand, I think we've covered all our bases.
Awesome.
Fantastic. DJ, how about you? I know we didn't get to talk about Smite or Hades in this episode, which does violate one of our cardinal rules, but...
Yeah, both great games. I recommend Hades. If you want to spend time, I recommend Smite.
is there a duck character in Smite?
Yeah, DJ, connected to DuckTales.
Hold on. As far as I'm aware, there's actually not a duck character, nor is there a duck skin. Like, I can't even think of a skin that's duck themed.
All right, well, Smite is banned from the podcast. We'll no longer be discussing Smite.
Absolutely not.
Awesome. Well, Tim, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I had a fantastic time.
This has been great. If our listeners want to find more of you and your writing and what you do, where can they find you?
They can find me on Facebook at Everything Nerdy and Everything in Between.
Awesome. Yeah. They post.
I know admins have like. Do you mind saying your admin name?
Yeah, my tag is I'm the Tomorrow Night.
He's got the best one.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Felix's is pretty good too, but Tim has the best one. Without a doubt. Well, awesome. So that is going to be it for this episode. We will be back on June 22nd, taking a very strange taxi cab ride with some very strange ladies. But until then, make sure you are following us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We've got cool stuff on Patreon if you haven't heard yet.
Yeah, we do.
Bonus episodes, we're doing a remyth episodes. I think we're going to do one on the Odyssey episode of Wishbone, to be honest. Had that idea today. I think that'll be a blast.
Heck yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back in a couple weeks.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Until then, don't be like Zeus.
Don't be like Zeus.
Podcast of Poseidon is created and hosted by Darien and DJ Smartt. It's edited by Darien Smartt. The show is produced by Darien and DJ Smartt, as well as
Tim O'Connor. Our music is Athens Festival by Martin Hain, and our cover art is by Audrey Miller. You can find her on Instagram at bombshellnutshellart.
Like the show? Ready for more? Support Podcast of Poseidon on Patreon. Just $1 gets you exclusive bonus content. Find out more at patreon.com/podcastofposeidon.
Can't spare the drachmas? You can support the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcast or by sharing us with your friends. Find all of our episodes and episode transcripts at podcastofposeidon.com.
Thanks for listening.